Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm so glad you're here this morning. We've got a great show lined up, but first, as always, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. It's going to get loaded at 50 degrees tonight. It's going to be cold in the morning. So for this kind of season and all, we just had some cool, wet mornings. But today is going to end up really nice. A good sunshine will get up all the way to 74 degrees. And the water temperature did get back into the 70s at a 70.5 now. So that's pretty good. A lot of people are going surf fishing and fishing around Davis Beach in that area. So it's getting good. You're only going to be able to squeeze in a couple of good days this week. We got this weekend not looking good right now, so we'll talk more about that later. Our river reading brought to us by Sandhill Seafood up on Highway 77, just north of Bozeman. Good fresh seafood and good locally owned business and just good folks up there. The Apalachicola Bluntstown at 7.9, staying level, and the Choctaw Caryville, it did bump up some yesterday, dropping out a little bit today. This reading this morning at a 6.4. Tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We're looking at a low tide this morning at 309 and a high at 646. This is a spring pattern. We have the low tide in the morning. It's coming in all day. It was going to be aided, really held back by a north wind. Marine forecast north wind at about 5 to 10. And we're sort of decent tides. It's not great tides, but it's not neap tides. This weekend will be into some neap tides. Now, taking a look at our, well, that's going to take care of everything. Go ahead and let's take a break and we'll get back with our guest real quick. Welcome back, folks, and welcome to our special guest this morning, Taylor McGuffin.
How you doing, Coach?
Good morning, Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Well, listen, Taylor's a local boy, and he's doing real well, but I've been talking about him coming on the show. Had a dad on, Tim McGuffin, on about several weeks ago, and talking about wild quail hunting, and so it runs in the family. Your brother played baseball at Auburn.
Yes, sir.
And you played baseball at Huntington.
Yes, sir.
So you got a baseball background, but yeah. I'm gonna just tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
I grew up here in Panama City. Grew up hunting and fishing around here. I ended up going to Huntington College, which is in Montgomery, Alabama, to play baseball, and ended up going into physical therapy school at University of St. Augustine. Went through there, and now I live up in Dothan, and I'm working in Ozark, Alabama.
Okay, and we sort of skipped something at school, St. Augustine. You went all the way up there. You were actually a doctor of physical therapy.
Yes, sir. So physical therapy used to be a master's degree. Now, a few years back, switched to a doctorate degree. So I have a doctorate in physical therapy. Yes,
well,
sir.
Congratulations on that. But that's certainly, I know, that's a lot of hard work.
It is. It's a rough 2.5 years. You don't get to do a whole lot of fishing.
I was going to ask you, did you get to hunt and fish in St. Augustine?
A little bit. I got to fish more than anything. I got to go on. I took my little John boat with me and went and fished on the St. Johns River a few times. So I got to catch some good fish over there. Now,
don't you love when when it goes to college? Yeah, I'm going to take my John boat with me. Well, that's cool. And you ended up pretty close to home over there around.
Yes, sir. Not far. Yes, sir. About an hour and a half or so. Not bad.
And you engaged?
I am, yes, sir.
And we're getting married pretty soon, and your future wife is a physical therapist?
She's in school still. She'll graduate in August, and we get married in August as well.
Very, very good. And your brother Bowen playing up there at Auburn, he loves outdoors too?
Yes, he does. He's ready to be able to fish a little bit more. So.
We're talking about growing up at, I saw you did with wild quail hunt.
It is, yes, sir. I grew up doing nothing but quail hunting generally. I didn't shoot a deer till I was about 11.
Yeah.
So.
Your dad loves those dogs. You love those dogs?
Yeah. He works on them more than I do. I just help out. He works with them about every night. So.
Yeah. That's cool. Now we're laughing because we brought you on the show. We're going to talk about predator hunting and the coyotes in particular. But all of a sudden, you posted this picture last night and a bass. We're going to have to talk about this bass. This is something special right here. Tell us about this bass.
Well, yesterday we attempted to go turkey hunting yesterday and it just didn't work out. So we ended up taking my boat with us. And on the piece of property we have access to hunt on, there's a big cypress pond. So we just stuck the boat in the pond for a little while, and we were going to fish for a little bit, and ended up catching a pretty nice one. So.
Well, pretty nice one, I'll say. How much did it weigh?
10.3.
Folks, y'all know about bass fishing. You get a bass above 8 pounds, and everybody just flipping out. But 10, when you get in double digits now, that's special. But 10 pounds, And that was that a big area?
No, it's a fairly large pond. It was not a huge pond though. We can cover the whole pond fairly quickly in a boat.
That's cool. This was yesterday. Now listen, you were telling about how you caught. Tell me about the cast and everything. This is cool.
It was the water, and you can see that when you show the picture, you'll see how dark the bass is. The water is extremely dark. You can't see through it. Even if it was overcast yesterday, so even if it was sunny, you wouldn't. I don't think you'd be able to see. But it was kind of like a funnel, and there was a stump and trees, and it funneled to a point. And I flipped a topwater frog up on there, and I was just slowly bringing it across the water. And it rolled at it first, just like it was kind of protecting the bed. So I flipped it back in there and just slowly came on, and I let it slowly go over that bed again, and it came up and hit at it, and I just stopped it right over the bed. And it kind of sunk down, and the bass just sucked it under. And I didn't realize how big it was until it started pulling me around. And it was when I got it closer to the boat and it opened his mouth. Its mouth was about like that. So
man, I know that was a thrill.
It was big. It's the biggest bass I've ever caught.
Yeah, that's something. What would your dad say about that?
He was pretty excited too. I was yelling at him to get the net for me, and he wasn't moving fast enough. So in one of the pictures, my rod's actually halfway in the water. I had to drop my rod in the water and just grab the fish.
There's all kinds of things going to go wrong when you get.
It was hectic.
Only when you get a big fish on, that's when everything's going to go wrong.
It almost cut me off from the trolling motor. It was a mess.
That's when all that stuff happened. You got a little dink now. It's going to be a perfect textbook. Bring him around.
Oh no, it wasn't.
You get that big hog, and it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
That's a cool picture. I just love that and all. Okay, now. But the turkeys, you came down to hunt with your dad and all, but these turkeys, I keep hearing the story that a lot of them aren't cooperating.
Not for me, at least. I hadn't been able to do anything. Dad killed one 3 weeks or so ago, I guess now. I hunted the last 3 days. I hunted Saturday, Sunday, and Monday mornings. Never heard a gobble, not one bird.
And that's what I've heard. And then I'm hearing the stories where they hear them, and then all of a sudden a hen will cut them off. And I've heard all now. Stan Kirkland got his second one the other day, and I know a lot of folks have limited out, but those guys are going almost every day. But it's been an interesting turkey season.
Yeah, the morning that Dad killed one a few weeks ago, he never even heard a bird gobble, and it just snuck in on him. Yeah. I had 8 different birds around me gobbling.
That's funny you said that. Yeah.
I had hens all over. I had 3 hens within 6 yards of me. I had hens everywhere, so I think they were all mixed up with hens, and I couldn't make anything happen. So
yeah, and your dad got them.
And he got one. He didn't even hear one, and he had one sneak in on him.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I guess.
But I've heard that on the turkeys this year, that all of a sudden you're just showing up, and
Yep.
That's funny. I've heard that several times. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about coyote hunting. Okay, welcome back. Sitting with Taylor McGuffin, and he's a doctor of physical therapy, but he still loves the outdoors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good for you. You can just get out in it.
It is. You need to have something to do. You work with patients all day long. You need something to look forward to go doing every day. You can get your mind off it.
I always ask my students that have been in college and all, very many of your professors outdoor oriented?
No, not really.
I didn't
Unfortunately,
have any.
no.
Unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah.
But okay. Let's get to predator hunting. Let's talk. What got you into it?
I just was watching it on TV one day. Something for me that I enjoy doing in any type of hunting. I like to be able to call and interact with the animals. Mm-hmm. So, like turkey hunting, I love to call turkey hunting. And for me, it's just as much fun to call than it is to shoot. So something I enjoy doing with duck hunting, coyote, turkey is interacting with the animal, calling, and have them reacting to the call. And my thought process is, if I'm good enough to call in, generally in our area, the main predator, who really does not have any other predators to it, that's pretty fun. It's exciting. Yeah,
that's a challenge.
It is, and it's very hard. Yes, sir.
We got a bank of pictures. I got great pictures you sent also. We're going to get started. Let's talk about this first one here. So
this is I saw this actually. I walked up on this the other day, turkey hunting. I was walking down some planted pine tree rows, and I started seeing some tail feathers of a turkey. And it's not real uncommon. Started seeing more feathers, and I ended up finding that where a coyote or a bobcat had killed a turkey. So for me, that's kind of why we predator hunt right there. So you know, a lot of the quail population up where I live in South Alabama is really decimated. I put that towards more of the coyote population, just how it's exploded. So that's just kind of a picture to show, you know.
I'm glad this is excellent, because I'm glad you brought that up. We talked about this on the show over and over again about how those predators really have decimated the quail population.
It is. My uncle, who has a good bit of land up there, used to have quail all over, and they've actually made a little bit of a comeback. There's a little bit more. He even said, you know, he really stopped seeing rabbits and raccoons and even little things like that.
There's a hunt club over in Moultrie, Georgia this year that's having a big, like a month-long predator tournament. And,
yes, sir.
I don't know if you know about it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mentioned on the show. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about this one.
Yeah, so that one, that's probably the biggest coyote I've ever seen. It ended up weighing almost 50 pounds.
Wow.
It was big. I called that in one of my cousin's cow pastures. It was actually kind of an interesting one. We set up on him. We were going to set up on that pasture, and the guy who has cows in there was coming in through the gate as I was setting up, and so that kind of ruined our plans. So I'm sitting in the truck, and he's getting his cows out of there, and I actually got some pictures on my setup on how I killed this coyote later. But the guy was getting all his cows out of there. I'm sitting in my truck watching all these cows walk by me, and I had my little cousin with me, and I was looking. I was like, you know, there's a lot of really, really young calves. I mean, just born calves in there. I was like, you know what? These coyotes in this area, this guy comes and checks these cows all the time. They're used to these trucks being in here. So let's just go try anyway. So we went and tried, and about 5 minutes later, we killed him.
No kidding. Yeah. That's a great point. They can become acclimated to human behavior. And, you're right on that. Okay.
So this one was on, that's the first time I've ever been on that piece of property. I went out there, and again, I've got that set up on a picture as well. I killed that one with, actually on a bird sound, which I think we'll talk about some calls later.
Yeah.
I killed him on some bird distress calls, and he came out in the first couple minutes as well. I made that was actually a little over 200-yard shot. That was a pretty good shot on him.
Man, that looks like fun. I may get in this now.
Yeah, that's the same one. That was interesting about that one. That's actually a real light colored coyote. There's another picture of him later.
Yeah.
It was almost blonde. When I was scanning left and right, just kind of, I was actually really in the open. I wasn't hidden very well. Yeah. And I was just kind of scanning back. When I looked back to my right, I had just a yellow dog was standing out there. I mean, it was bright as could be, didn't blend in at all. I mean, just bright as could be sitting out there, and it's probably cool, really cool colored coyote.
Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed when you sent this picture. I said, look at that, it had a color on that one.
Yeah, it's the lightest one I've ever seen. That's actually it right there. Yeah. So it's real light, real blonde color. It looked like a yellow lab almost standing out there for a minute.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay, so this is your setup. Okay.
Yes, so this is, I don't have the picture of this one. This was actually my first hunt of the year this year.
Now what is it called? Red is
red is where I'm sitting. The red dot's where I'm sitting.
Okay.
The little red X is the red X is my call.
Okay.
And the yellow is where I killed the coyote.
Okay.
And the red, obviously the arrow is the wind direction.
The wind is coming that way.
Yes, sir. So when I set up, the main thing I look at is wind.
Very good.
That's my first thing. I set up purely depending on how the wind is. So I like a crosswind if possible. That's a little bit at an angle, which is good enough. Or I like it right in my face.
Okay.
Preferably my face, but I like a crosswind as well.
Good point right there. So
that's one of my setups. I was just kind of I thought it was kind of good to show what I'm kind of looking at.
Yes, and the stand.
Yes, sir. And I'm kind of just sitting there with a bipod, and I'm looking down that tree line right there, and I've also got a good tree line to my left.
And you got a big open area. I mean, that's
I
what
do.
You like.
I hunt bigger open fields generally. I have a lot of access to big fields. So that's what I like to hunt.
Okay. This one right here.
All right, so this was actually a double. I actually killed 2 on this one. So that's why there's 2 yellow dots right there. So the wind, this was actually after work one day. I went on, this is one of my patients' property. They gave me access to hunt. I'm actually sitting on the ground right in front of a box blind, so like a condo stand. I have my call off to my right, about 40, 50 yards or so out there. I actually caught, this was the shortest I've ever had. So this first coyote on the left, that I ended up killing right by the call, came within the first 30 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
And it came running, barreling in, right, not at me, it's focusing on the call.
Well, see, they don't have any predators there. They don't really think about it.
Exactly.
That's what's going, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it came out of that far left corner on a dead run, and I actually had to stop him. I stopped him, shot him, and it just went straight down. I let the call sequence run out, started another call sequence, and another 30 seconds later, the second one, I happened to see some movement on my left. I just kind of turned my head, and one was sneaking out of the trees about 30 yards from me.
No kidding.
So I killed two within a minute of each other.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Okay.
That's the same piece. That's the same piece of property. That's
Okay.
actually, this is the one I killed that blonde one we were talking about.
Okay. All right.
If you can see, I am sitting way out in the field on this one.
Yeah.
But that you can kind of see that left hand of that field kind of has a little hump in it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to see in that corner, which is a good thing because that's where the coyote came from.
Did you think they were in that area? You knew they were down there?
So a lot of what I do, so that's another thing. A lot of people might try to hunt. They may not see anything first time. So I in my job, I meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And most of the people where I'm at up in Alabama, they have somewhat of some property.
Yeah.
And they're farmers and stuff like that. And we get to talking about it, and people don't like having coyotes.
No.
I've actually had a patient that I have not hunted this piece of land yet. They want me to come hunt them. They say I can turkey hunt there too, so that's nice.
Cool.
But she let her dog out a couple weeks ago to go to the bathroom before going to bed. Next thing she knows, she hears awesome racket out there, and she runs to the door, and she opens the door, and her little dog flies by her and has 3 coyotes chasing it all the way up to the house.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of my land that I have to hunt are a bunch of my patients who've given me permission to hunt. And so the way I go, and when I'm hunting, I'm looking for tracks, and I'm looking for droppings and stuff like that. But I go a lot off by word of mouth. So what my patients, I hear coyotes howling back here all the time. So I mean, if you're not seeing some things, it may not be coyotes there.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, I'm going off what the landowners are telling me. We hear them here, we see them here, we see them all kinds of stuff.
That's interesting. Let's take a final break. We'll be right back with Taylor. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a quick look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers. We're looking at 9:26 a.m. to 11:26, and tonight 9:49 to 11:49. Do coyotes, they don't have a feeding time, do they? Or do you?
I do better. I have not killed one first thing in the morning.
Really?
I kill more mid-morning.
That's interesting.
And then I've killed them in the middle of the day, and I've killed them in the afternoon. So I've killed them all the time.
Oh, we got a lot. Let's finish looking at these pictures. We've got to look at the call. Tell us about this picture here.
So this one right here, this is when I killed that big one, actually. So I was planning on hunting that bigger pasture.
Yeah.
I was going to sit under one of those oak trees, and ended up getting out of there by that farmer. So I ended up moving to that smaller pasture. And, the red dot's me, the wind's right in my face. So a coyote, they're going to wind you. Their goal is to get around you and wind you. So that's why I like it in my face or a crosswind. But when you're hunting a crosswind, you just have to make sure you can see where you think that coyote is going to try to circle around, which is what he did here. He came and was circling around, and I caught him coming through that field.
That's cool.
So this is another one. This is a good crosswind one, I think. And something you'll notice on all these pictures is my red X on where the call is never directly in front of me.
Wow.
I always put it to my side.
Okay.
So
to the side.
So this one is the blue dot is a dead cow.
Okay.
This is that same the big pasture we just saw a minute ago. So this cow has died, and my cousin called me and told me coyotes had been on it like crazy. So I went in there. And the cow smelled really bad, so I didn't want to sit downwind of him.
Yeah.
And so then I got off to the right of that. And again, the wind's in my face. My call's off of me. So you never want it right in front of you. So when your call, the coyotes are going to locate that call. They know where it is pretty much. So they're going to come in and look, and they're going to find that call. So that's something I always do is put it off to my left or right. So they're not, if they're in front of me, they're not looking right at me.
Right.
So they're they're pointing at me.
All right, let's talk about this call real quick. This is cool.
This is a Primos Turbo dog. I've had this for a while now, so about 5 or 6 years or so since when I started when I was in college. Once I got the electric
remote control.
Yes, sir. So it uses a remote control. You turn it on, and you can, and it ranges pretty good. I like to put it 40, 50 yards from me.
Okay.
So, but it has a bunch of different sounds. A lot of people. Another thing I like to do. This has rabbits and raccoons and birds, and has coyote vocalizations. It has all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
I've actually just ordered a new one, so I'm gonna probably use it now. But the same thing. There's a lot of different types of animal distress calls. Yeah. Something I focus on, I like to try to do is people think when you call coyotes, just do rabbit distress, rabbit distress,
Right,
rabbit distress. Well, I've actually killed more this year with a raccoon distress, with a juvenile raccoon distress. That's why I've killed more than anything with this year.
I know. What are those over there?
This is actually what I started off with, because I started this when I was in college and I didn't have enough money to buy one of these. Ended up getting it for my birthday, so some hand calls.
Okay.
These are all Primos calls. There's other brands, so these are kind of some howlers, but you can also take this off and you can do distress calls with this as well.
Okay.
This is one I like a lot, and sometimes, even though I use that electric call mainly, I'll start with this in case one is real close, so you don't just blare a real super loud call just right next to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to start with the hand call first and then go into your electric call.
That's what I'm saying. You start with that sometimes, and then
sometimes,
go
yes, sir. And when I do, I usually use this one. It's a little bit quieter.
That is cool.
But I mainly stick with the electric call.
And a lot of distress calls, like I say, basically they're distress calls.
Yes, sir. I have a couple philosophies on calling. It also depends on the time of year, what kind of call, if it's the breeding season and stuff like that. Depending on what calls I'll do. I usually start with distress calls, and when I go to end, I usually sit 20 to 30 minutes each stand, and I make multiple stands usually. I'll sit 20, 30 minutes or so, and I end with like coyote pup distress.
Okay.
Especially this time of year. And what that does, it sounds like you're stepping on a dog's tail. You know what that sounds like. And so I do that, and I've killed a few this year with that. I'm mainly going to call in females with that, because they're gonna, they kind of have that motherly instinct. They're gonna come and check. That's a little baby coyote getting attacked by something, a male coyote or something. And I've killed. You mainly get females with that though.
And you can do this year round.
Yes, sir. You can hunt them year round.
That's the beauty of it.
Like it is. It's something to do. Like I said in my first email I sent, it's really something good to do in between deer season and turkey season.
And we're talking about a siren because there's some close to my house on 77 when a siren goes off. But you said one of those calls on.
Yeah, it has a coyote locator sound, so it has like a siren. It just blares loud like a fire truck siren.
And they'll just start howling.
Oh yeah, they will.
I was going to ask, we only got about a minute left. Were they ever answer back and forth?
Yeah. I don't do real well with the howling. Some guys on TV and stuff like to howl a lot. I haven't had much success with it. Now I have had them bark at me and stuff, probably because they saw me. But you can kind of work with them a little bit, and you can get them to come in still.
All right, well, Taylor, we're going to wrap things up. But thank you so much. It's been a great show.
Yes, sir. Not a problem.
And folks, you got any questions on it, pass along some questions. I'll get a hold of Taylor, ask him some questions. What a great hunting activity, and get outdoors and all.
It is.
And we're away from the stress of work and twisting up by the arms and shoulders and all.
Yeah.
And good luck to you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you soon, hopefully. Folks, thank y'all for watching the show. It's going to be another good one tomorrow. You do something good for someone else today. You have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.